on the sea alone, staring at the full moon.
I didn't have any good colonial music, man.
Sorry, well,
I already failed, you know.
This'll do.
Yeah, cool changes, you know. Right here at 9:09 on this 11th day of May. Kurt Smith will be in a lot of different places this weekend as we get to learn a lot more about Thomas Jefferson and the Lewis and Clark Historic Site. Really having a great event this weekend with Discover Days. A lot happening. Kurt, man, how are you doing? Welcome to Alton.
I'm excited to be here. This is, it's a formative place, this spot you have in this country. And it's not just what you discovered, but who you discovered. And I'm proud to be a part of that.
Well, we're happy to have you, you know, and right off the bat, is this your first time in Alton?
It is.
What's the first impression so far?
What's real estate like? Can I move here?
Not a good market, right? No one's. Anytime I've been looking for a house, Kurt. Thank you for hitting this point for me. Every time I'm getting ready to buy, somebody snatches it up.
I'm sorry.
Telling you what, but I get to shake that off, and I get to listen to some great conversations and great engagements with you all weekend. You know, take me through this. So you portray Thomas Jefferson at Colonial Williamsburg, which is a pretty high priority and high impact job. Take us through how you got involved in this process.
You know, I knew exactly what I wanted to do, like most people, when you're in high school, teach biology. So here I am portraying a dead man. It's a very strange thing.
There you go. Talk about a correlation.
Someone I went to grad school with was working at Colonial Williamsburg, and they sent this job across my desk and said, hey, we haven't chatted in a few years, but it seems like something you'd be interested in. And sure enough, I picked it up, started reading about Jefferson, and I haven't put him down since. That was almost 10 years ago. Yeah.
Now, what was that first? Was there like a story or something you read right away that just hooked you in?
Yeah. So one of the first humanizing moments, that's what I love about what we get to do, who research and then portray, is first-person interpretation. One of the first moments that I read about Jefferson that really made him human for me was when he was about 18 years old. He fell in love, and he was really an angsty teenager. His love letters are just fascinating. And he fell in love with a woman named Rebecca Burrell. He proposed to her. She turned him down. So he proposed again. She turned him down again. And then he became an attorney. And there was something... There is something so just human about seeing this man that we know of, who sits on pedestals etched in marble, but he's brought down in a way that is humanizing. And that's I think the important part of what I get to do is humanize.
Well, and I'll tell you this, you know, just to have, you know, like you said, bringing this and humanizing somebody that, you know, we read in a history book. And I'll tell you this right off the bat, whenever I saw that, you know, this was going to be coming to our area this weekend, I thought, how great. So what I did is, it's going to sound bad, I went back and I watched the Addams HBO series, which I think is one of my favorite series of all time. Thomas Jefferson in there, just to get some insights on how just intuitive and just how just brilliant this guy was, from inventing to whether or not you're leading the early development of a country, and you get to bring that to life. That's got to be pretty powerful for you to be able to do so.
It is powerful and it is humbling at the same time. Mm-hmm. Jefferson was called, while he was alive, a genius. He was called a walking encyclopedia. He spoke, read, wrote, and wrote 7 different languages. He was in public office for 40 years. And, he had his hand in everything from local politics to national politics to foreign policy to states' rights versus federal rights to constitutionality of law to anti-slavery bills to religion bills. He was everywhere. And if you ever want to be humbled, try to portray Jefferson. Yeah,
because then you're going to realize maybe my accomplishments aren't as good of accomplishments compared to the nation's third president.
No, if he keeps it up, he's going to make a name for himself. That's for sure.
And let me ask you guys really quick, too, to bring everybody in the conversation, to have a name like Kurt Smith, who's, renowned. I mean, everyone, knows of your portrayal of Thomas Jefferson. How was this able to happen? Is there some people we got to thank for making sure that we could do Discover Days the right way with this engagement?
Well, the first person you have to think is Mike Bortko here.
Right over here.
Okay, he's not just a local bass guitar playing legend. He has been a long-time volunteer and member of the Lewis and Clark Society and a board member. And last November, we were having our board meeting, going over things, and Mike brought up that he has maintained contact with Bill Barker for 20 years. When Bill came down here for the signature event in 2003. And he got talking to Bill and said, hey, would you like to come out here? We have this Education Day thing. Would you like to come out here? And Bill said, sure, I'll do it. You know, we have a relationship with him and everything. It gets to the board meeting and we start talking, and we're hoping to build up interest in Lewis and Clark and interest in the Lewis and Clark site to where it was before the pandemic, and thought this was a great thing to do. We started talking to Bill. It goes along for a month, maybe 2 months. All of a sudden, Bill checks his calendar. Oh, golly, I can't make it that weekend. Here at Monticello, there's a retirement thing. He's required by his job to be present there. So we asked, well, we're kind of planning on this, and do you have any names of someone that that could possibly do it? One of the names was Kurt Smith. We contacted Kurt, and yada, 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 here we are in your studio.
There you go. Talk about a transition there,
Yes,
huh, and adapting. Kurt, I want to ask you, too, because you're going to be in a couple of different spots throughout this weekend. I'll ask you about a couple of the locations you'll be presenting at and speaking at, so we can all come and learn a little bit more of really just one of the most legendary people to ever grace our country.
Yeah. So we're doing a few things, 3 major events. One is tonight at the Wildy Theater. There are still seats available, so come down. We're going to have about at least an hour, hopefully more, of conversation. One of the things I demand in these things is mutual conversation. So come with your minds prepared. Bring the hard questions. Don't leave saying, oh, I wish I'd asked Thomas this. Bring it to me. And then tomorrow I'm going to be down at the Lewis and Clark Historic Society of America, and I'll be there for most of the day. I'll give a couple of presentations, and I'm also going to just be strolling the grounds. So if you come out and you see someone in a coat and tails, it's not a ghost. So come down there, see the site and the amazing work that they do. Come chat with me, and then that evening, tomorrow night, I'll be at the Hainer Library, and there's just a few seats left, but it's a gorgeous space. So come down there. You know what you should do is you should just come to all 3.
I think so too. I didn't know if there was like a bulk package or anything, but then, man, that would have been nice, because I think that somebody, even if they go to all 3 shows, there's going to be something new in each show that's discovered or learned about.
Absolutely. Every show is different. I run my pieces, my programs and presentations in a way that is organic. So if you were to come to all 3, each one will be different.
And how do you prepare for something, like this? Because like you just said, this is a mutual thing, and you want the audience to come with these hard questions, and you want to, be able to do the best for it. But how do you prepare, mentally for that? A lot of studying, I would assume.
I rather dislike one man talking and professing his knowledge to a group of people.
Yeah.
We call that Congress. And
That's true.
I think we have enough of that. So what I like is conversation. So how do you prepare for that? You read. I have now read all 50,000 of Jefferson's letters to and from him, and my job is to incorporate as much of his vernacular and text into my brain so that then we can have a mutual extemporaneous impromptu conversation.
Great word, by the way, but I can't wrap my head around 50,000 letters. I mean, that you can't even. I can't think about that and process how much reading that is and how much studying.
Yeah.
Did he have carpal tunnel?
Yeah.
Well, he did. He broke his wrist while he was in France, and he had to use dumbbells. He made these 2 dumbbells to help strengthen his wrist.
What? There you go. I'm at a loss for words. This is the first time I've ever been speechless on my own show. This is actually pretty fascinating. Now, with that, what was I'm going to ask you. I'll put you on the spot.
Sure.
What was the big rift between Adams and Jefferson?
Oh my gosh. Their relationship is so American.
Right.
They are friends. They stand shoulder to shoulder. They see eye to eye. They fight, and then they remove a common enemy. And I think that was what began their downfall. Gotcha. A common enemy is the greatest unifier man has ever received. But if you remove the common enemy, then we begin to find, through the splitting of hairs between each other, reasons to distance ourselves and engage in partisan politics. Mm-hmm. The main factor that divided Adams and Jefferson was size, role, and scope of a federal government. When Jefferson sees these Federalists, which he does not agree with, engaging in policies that increase the power of a federal government. Jefferson says, I'm sorry, but have you forgot that we just left a top-end heavy government called a monarchy? And he calls federalism a monarchy under a new name. So he and Madison take a fishing trip in New York on Lake George. And while fishing, they create a second party, the first time it's ever been done, the first opposition party in this country. And that party has many names, but the name that sticks is Democratic Republicans. And when Jefferson is vice president, he begins pushing this second party. And that's not a great thing to do when your president is Federalist, and thus the rift.
Gotcha. That's actually very fascinating.
Yeah.
And to me, I just, the amount of information that just you can have about one person is just amazing to me. And what I think is fascinating too is the inventions of Thomas Jefferson that, I feel like we always talk about, and you're going to be talking about the Louisiana Purchase and all these really important things, but I mean, Thomas Jefferson was a hell of an inventor too, and very, intuitive with things. I know he invented the chair, the
swivel chair.
Yes, the swivel chair with the pulleys and the blinds, right?
Yeah, and yes. Yes, well done.
Thank you. Do
you want to take over tonight?
I'm the fill-in or with the stand-in.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so anytime you listeners at home are sitting in a swivel chair, I hope you thank Thomas Jefferson.
What is the invention of Thomas Jefferson that you think is the most unique or the one that sticks with you the most? Thank you for my second can of jet fuel, Mike. You're the best. Well, is there one that sticks out to you?
It doesn't sound very glamorous, but he invented a plow that plows in their time were created in the tidewater, and they were used for tidewater soil, but the Piedmont soil was just different, and the plows didn't work that well. And so he goes through this pretty heavy mathematical exercise and systems of drawings and architecture to create a new plow. And this plow ends up being used probably as far west as even here. Wow. Jefferson's plow. It's a Boldmore plow, and it folds the soil over, and then there's attachment on the back that will even fold it back, so you can, with one horse and one plow the ground, plant the seed, and fold it back, and it's a greater use of efficiency of space and time.
That is just remarkable. Yeah. That is just remarkable. And, let me bring everybody back in here, because we've been talking for over, almost 17 minutes now, going to 20, because I could just talk all day long about how unique and how amazing of an opportunity this is, because this is for all ages.
It is.
And I got to ask you, have you ever had, an individual, because all I can think of for me personally is if I do what you're doing, I'd be prepared for the hardballs, like all these questions that the parents or grandparents, whoever, they're staying up all night thinking about this. And then the one question from the 7-year-old comes that I wouldn't be able to answer. Has that happened to you before?
100%.
No kidding.
And in fact, it almost always comes from kids.
That is remarkable.
It's one of my favorite parts about this job is getting to engage with kids, because they're going to ask anything. And one of the first questions that I got that I didn't have an answer for, but I should have seen it coming, was, what's your favorite color?
Oh, no.
And I thought, well, I don't know that I ever write about that. I've never read that. So, I went off on, well, I choose a lot of scarlet cloth for waistcoats. And so a red is, and I went home and I looked around and I couldn't find anything. But kids,
that is remarkable.
That's the future,
And really quick, while I have everybody here, we've been talking, and I could talk to you guys all day long because this is so cool. Discover Days is May 12th and the 13th, correct?
Yes, sir. Or 13th.
13th and 14th.
Education Day is the 12th. The Departure Weekend celebration is the 13th and 14th.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
President Jefferson will be there on Saturday.
Yes. And wanted to make sure that, because this is a great weekend of events for everybody throughout the community, and I know there's things going on down the road, and I know that you guys are like merging them and kind of making it, almost just a regional event more than anything, and to have this is great. And Kurt, this is just remarkable. I am just in awe because I'm a big history buff. So to have somebody that's, just really, I hate to say impersonate, because you aren't. You're reliving it and bringing back to life, one of our founding fathers, and in a way that really, takes us back there. And I got to ask you too, out of all the things that you prepare for, out of all the things, with preparations of cosmetics, I'm sure, and you're researching and everything else, what takes the most time? Is it the studying? Is it making sure that everything looks up to date that you're wearing? Is it, learning the crowd? What is it?
Sometimes when you research, you're looking for one particular thing.
Yeah.
And finding that bit of gold takes a lot of digging.
Yep.
When you're and along the way, there are sand traps.
Yeah. You're right.
that lead to rabbit holes, and then you find yourself deeply involved in research that you weren't intending, but it's just as fascinating. However, I think the thing that is both time-consuming, but perhaps the greatest bit of magic is the word that I use is relevance. So I read our current news every day.
Yep.
And there is nothing, and I mean nothing, that is printed in our current news that doesn't create some tangent, not even tangential, some overlap with exactly what Jefferson was dealing with.
Wow. Well, you actually segued this into my question, because this is what I wanted to end on is, in today's climate, would Thomas Jefferson be identified as a Republican or a Democrat?
That is a fascinating question. When he starts he and Madison start that second political party, the name that sticks, there are several names that Jefferson, it's called the Jeffersonian Party.
Right.
Jefferson says, we should call it the Spirit of 76 so that we remember the principles upon which we initially shed our blood. That name doesn't stick. But Democratic Republicans does. And the Federalists are swept out during the next few election cycles across the country.
Right.
And, the Democratic Republicans beat the Federalists down so hard that they don't have a party today. But who is around? The Democrats and Republicans. So Jefferson has them both.
Wow. Now that is oh, I'm liking this. And this is just a sample of what you guys can be getting tonight, tomorrow, and on Saturday. And Kurt, I really can't thank you enough. You're a wealth of knowledge, and I wish I could have talked to you all morning long. We could have done a 2-hour show on this.
Let's do. Hey, come down. You should come.
Absolutely. I will be there one day.
Very good.
Because, the thing is, it's like, we have to cover a game tonight, but, we have some thunderstorms in the area, and we all know how weird spring gets. So if it gets canceled, I am there tonight. And once again, take us through the locations, the times you'll be presenting and performing this evening and this weekend.
Tonight he'll be at the Wildy Theater in Edwardsville at 7 p.m.
7 p.m.
Okay. Tickets are free.
Okay.
Tickets are free there. Tomorrow night at 5 p.m. he will be or 6 p.m. the Hainer Library. The presentation starts at 6 p.m. We'll be there at 5.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm old. It rattles around. Okay. He will also be down at the Lewis and Clark State Historic Site on Friday and Saturday. Friday is an education day where they bring in approximately this year 500 fourth graders to teach them skills that were needed on the frontier, how to make rope, how to make candles, how it was cooked, and now to meet a president.
That is so cool.
Yes, and Saturday he will be down there. He will give 2 presentations in the theater, one at 10:30 a.m., one at 1 p.m. Outside of that, he'll be working the grounds. If you have a question that you think, perhaps we really shouldn't start sending white people out across west of the Mississippi River, you can bring it to Thomas Jefferson and he'll answer it.
I love it. I really
Yes.
do. And Michael, I didn't get a chance to talk to you yet, but thank you so much for helping organize this. Kurt, thank you so much. Thank you guys. This was fun, and I hope you guys go out and learn something this weekend and really just become more aware of the greatness that was one of our founding fathers and our nation's third president. Kurt Smith, guys, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
It is 9/27 on this 11th day of May. Coming up, Kristen Burns and Chief Brad Wells from the Woods River Police Department talking Woods River Police 5K and the summer cook-off. That works too after this.